Hi, I'm Pauline, and again, this is Pauline Interviews. This time it's part 3. We're talking about crystal and indigo children. They're a group of special beings that have been incarnating for several hundred years, and they're here to help us. And my friend psychic Laurie McQuary and I've been talking about this. In part 1, we talked about who these children are, in part 2, why they're here. Now we're going to talk about, if you think you have a crystal child, how to nurture that child, because they do need some special attention. Laurie, thank you for joining me on part 3.
Sure.
And one of the reasons they need special attention is, well, I'll just pick one example to get us going, is that some of them don't speak for 2 or 3 years, and some parents might panic at that, but if they could understand who they are, they wouldn't worry about it.
Exactly, and you have to fit all the pieces together. You know, just because a child doesn't speak doesn't necessarily mean there's a dire diagnosis attached. Can be other reasons. However, if you have a crystal child, and there's certainly information out there, goodness, I just went on Google the other night just for fun, just to see what does it say about this subject. They had a lot of things to draw from. I would say the first and most important piece is try to get community. Try to find other people in your community who know about this. You know, there's certainly tons of metaphysical bookstores. We have a wonderful one here in Portland that's been known for years, down on Northwest 23rd.
New Renaissance?
New Renaissance. And there's people there that would be happy to talk with you and give you more information. Let's face it, this isn't exactly something you're going to take to your pediatrician.
No.
So
The last thing.
once you've determined the child is normal in all other ways, there's no hearing problems, there's no vocal problems, other than this child is maybe reticent. This may be some form of, you know, what he's demonstrating. Then you've got to just educate yourself on it. Again, community. In my case, I started having psychic experiences after having a horse accident when I was 18. So I was having these experiences as an adult. I had nobody to talk to about it until I went to Crazy California, which I love, because everybody was pretty open, and you could actually get people to say the word psychic without stuttering and being shocked. So I knew my child, even as young as 6 and 7, would have profound dreams. I mean, they were amazing. And I didn't quite know what to do with him because I was still experiencing this stuff myself. So this was a learn-as-you-go process. Now, if you're a parent, or if you have 2 parents here, maybe one is open, the other one's going, what are you talking about? That kid does what? Or you do what? You're going to have to just fend for yourself quietly. Again, find community. Grandparents can help beautifully. My grandson, who's 11 now, I started doing stuff with him just for fun when he was about 4 and 5, and we would play games, and the games would be, gee, Sean, what do you think's in the box over there? Think, think, think. Or I'd have him guess where we were going when we were going for an outing. And he went right along with it because he was given permission. And he was right a lot of times. One time I went over to visit him when he was sick, and I was going to bring him 3 balloons. I left 1 balloon at home. And I brought the 2 balloons, and he got them. I'm driving home, and my daughter calls, and she said, he wants to know where the 3rd balloon is. And I hadn't said anything. So,
You can't fool that kid.
But you must do it carefully, without pressure, and it's not a pass and fail situation. It's just, I'm here. And
only can blossom.
You're right, and you know, if we want to talk about it, great. He's at 11 now, all he's into is guitars. He does not talk about psychic development, but it may re-emerge again as he grows a little older. I'm sure it will.
How's your daughter handling this, being the mother of the crystal child?
Well, she's always been into it for many years because I was doing reading sessions out of my home for many years. So she and my son were always very exposed to that. So she's always had a good running dialogue with him. She knows.
So she has exposure to the metaphysical.
And so is his dad.
Oh, that's great.
His dad, who's one of my favorite beings on the earth, lived in a psychic commune in Colorado for 10 years with a group of people. What better parenting could you pick?
I wonder if he must have picked those parents.
We always do. Every kid picks we pick our lives, you know that. We got to do a best life one. God, how many times have you said, what was I thinking? I really knew I was going to go through all. Yeah, you did. You can handle it.
Oh, I mean, not to get into the topic, but I really feel that I've been in the metaphysics other lives.
Oh, sure.
It just popped out of me one
But
day and.
these children come
Yeah.
in and they're signed up. That's why it's hard to keep the perspective, but it's true. When you see a family, your own or someone else's, where there's hard stuff going on, the kids may be being abused somehow, it's hard.
It is.
But you have to keep the objective, this child is being directed and protected, and this child chose this incarnation to work with
Yeah,
whoever.
it does really seem
And that's what
hard,
they come
yeah.
in for, especially the crystal children. They come in to really work with the people around them. Even if they land in a family that go, my God, we drink beer and we just watch football, what's with this kid?
Yeah.
They're learning, because this child will quietly, because that's their demeanor, this child will quietly, in particular with their eyes, just embrace you. And you never know what the soul is learning as that child is there.
We can only see a tiny, tiny perspective, we can't see the whole picture.
That's right.
When we were talking about crystal children, we should talk about crystal adults too, because they've been coming in for hundreds of years.
Right.
So have you ever met any adults that you feel that?
Yes, I've had several that they'll sit down and, like they tell you in the books and such, you can tell them by their eyes, amazing eyes. And I go, oh, wow, I got one here. But I don't really want to launch into it. I want people to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And almost right away they'll go, you know, I've known stuff since I was a little kid. I said, I know.
Well, I'm not saying I'm a crystal child, but what made me laugh was when they said they're attracted to crystals. I've got them all, I don't know why,
Everywhere.
but I've got them all over my.
I think that's your past life stuff.
Yeah.
I think you worked with crystals. That's why they're
You
very
think so?
amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look
And
what Edgar
plants.
Cayce said about Atlantis,
Yeah.
and about Lemuria. Those were
Yeah.
all places where healings were done with crystals. Buildings were moved with crystal energy. All kinds of stuff.
Well, yeah, it's funny what we're attracted to, because
Yeah.
I'm a plantaholic and a crystalholic, if this is
Yeah.
a word.
Well, you know,
I'm just so
you've done
attracted
that.
to those
You've done
things.
that.
Yeah.
But these children, I have found too, have healing properties.
Oh, yeah,
And
that was another
they
characteristic,
will,
yeah.
you know, you can sit with them and you're not feeling good, and they will just sit by you, and you will just feel the
Good.
calmness and the healing work
It's
going
energy.
on. And then when they grow up and become an adult, they often go into healing occupations. Many times they're here to do that, and you'll see them in the doctor and nurse field, or just healing with people.
Yeah, this is a little bit negative, is that if the parents aren't there to nurture them, sometimes they're well-meaning, and like with the indigos, where they can't sit still because their energy is so high, they take them to doctors, they put them on drugs. Can that decrease their, okay?
It'll abeyance it, it'll stop it, just for a while.
For a while, but it'll come back.
Because you know what that kid will learn to do is not talk about it.
Ah.
That kid will
calm down,
go,
yeah.
okay, they're in it,
Yeah.
they're gonna get me, so
Yeah.
I won't talk about it. And I've had a lot of people ask me, not even talking about crystal children, but just saying, you know, our grandchild is seemingly so psychic, and they'll read up on it and go, what do we do with him?
Right.
I said, let him just develop.
Yeah, I was gonna
Let
ask.
him, give him an outlet.
Okay.
When, if it's the grandparents, have that special corner where he can read whatever he wants, and he'll probably gravitate to books as he's older, to read those kind of things that maybe he can't read
Yeah.
at home. Maybe he can't talk about it at home. But that soul has chosen this path, not only to come as a crystal child, there's probably other incarnations this child is resolving, where there's been ridicule, where there's been punishment, tough stuff. Well, thank God, we're still not burning people at the stake in this lifetime. But kids still have to put up with the other kids going, look, you do what? You know this? It's just part of just gearing up. Because when we get to the intense times that are gonna happen, you know, Edgar Cayce really predicted global warming long before we talked about
It's
it.
the first time we're mentioning Edgar Cayce.
I mentioned it
Okay,
earlier
and
when I was talking
he was
about.
known as the sleeping prophet.
He
A
was the
wonderful
sleeping
man.
prophet, he was a healer, he was a Sunday school teacher, 5th grade
Photographer.
education, photographer, and the first time he ever realized that he had something like this is he had a school assignment, in math I think it was, that he had to pass that test. He put the math book under his pillow. He was a kid, and went to sleep and woke up the next morning and knew the whole book.
Now, did he do that just because he was tired or did he think
I
he might
think
learn
he
it?
wanted to learn it that way.
Wow.
You know, and I'll
Yeah.
tell people to do this. I'll say,
Yeah.
if you've got something troubling you,
Mhm.
write it out in a letter and put it under your pillow to sleep on.
I did an interview on Aboriginal healing, and
Yeah.
a wonderful lady, Robbie Holtz, she wrote a book with her husband, and that's what, when they were trying to help people, part of the healing was to get to your subconscious, to put it under your, writing.
Well, many cultures
Yeah.
embrace the dream world.
Mhm.
Native Americans, for one, which I embrace.
Yeah.
But, there's so many layers to this. So
Yes.
don't get overwhelmed. If you
Right.
figure your kid is special, try to go to somebody who knows about it.
Right, or read up on it, or do your
Well, read up on
Yeah,
it, but it's also
research.
nice to connect
Yeah,
with a
oh,
real human
absolutely.
being about it.
Yeah, and see what they're going.
Because we don't
yeah.
want the parent all blocked off in their
Yeah.
apartment going, oh my God, I can't talk to anybody about this, I'll just
Yeah.
read. They gotta talk
Yeah.
to somebody.
Nowadays, people should be a little more open, you never know.
They should be.
But they're, yeah.
We're working on it.
Yeah, working on accepting, yeah.
Yeah, we're
Well,
still working on it.
This is a great topic, and I think we talked a few minutes, and is there anything else you want to say that I might have missed? I think we've covered it pretty well.
We didn't go deeply into the Indigo kids, we
Oh,
touched on them,
no.
that was fine, but
Yeah.
it's just part of, because it's children.
Right.
So, I think, and this is just my hit, I think that a child can come in one way, like with the leanings towards Indigo child,
Yes.
and
Which
as
is
an
doers,
adult can shift.
to shift to the
And
crystal more.
perhaps not feel like they have to just press it
Yeah.
home so much
Yeah.
and become more gentle with
Mhm.
their growing years. I think you can come in containing both.
Now, I think I mentioned it slightly, that this is a higher vibration. We talk about vibration, a different energy.
Right.
And the more spiritual you get, the higher your vibration. And that's why they can telepathy, and I read, we won't get into it, but they can do magical things, which we can all do, but we're not there yet.
There was a healer and may still be, his name is Adam, and he was from Canada.
Oh, I think I've got
And
his
as
book.
a young child,
Yes.
he could levitate bicycles. Well, his parents hid him for a long time.
That would be scary.
Gosh, yes. And yet, I believe he started in his teens, and he's a healer. He heals whole audiences of people. He was on the internet called Dream Weaver or
Oh,
Dream
yeah.
Maker. It's Dream
That's
something.
his book. I've got the book.
Okay, that's the kind of
Uh-huh.
children that I think we're going to see a lot more of. And what does he do? He does the indigo approach. He's out there in the eye, the public eye, taking it on the chin, and boy, let me tell you, you're a moving target when you do anything
Yeah.
publicly with this. And so, look what he's doing with it. And his parents hid his name for many years. They let him do the work, but they wouldn't publicize his name until he was 18.
So I think we're ending on a very positive note.
It is. There's
Yeah.
tough stuff out there. But we always say, the glass is either half full or half empty. I always believe that things can be changed for the better if we can just collectively keep this positive energy
Right.
about not everybody's bad. Most people are good, and I do believe that. And the few you read about, as horrific as they are, you have to just move on. You can't stay stuck in the sadness and the depression
No,
that
you can't.
creates.
It doesn't help.
Because it affects you.
Yeah, and it doesn't
And
help
affect
them.
everything around you.
Yeah, it doesn't help them. If we all work to lift up our energy and
That's
lift up
right.
the energy of the world, things will get better.
Exactly.
So on that happy note, thanks for watching Pauline Interviews. I want to thank my good friend Laurie McQuary for doing more interviews with me, and we'll have many more in the future. Thanks for watching.